All right, good afternoon, members of council, and thank you on this beautiful Wednesday afternoon to be here in a meeting that's usually Wednesdays are not our usual day, but I certainly want to take this opportunity to thank you for indulging us with that. Roll call. All members of council are present and accounted for, and so I'll officially call the meeting to order. To the members, any disclosure of pecuniary interest, if there's any pecuniary interest on the item presented on tonight's open agenda. Okay, declared. We have no delegations members of council deal with today, so there are no communications to deal with, and so we'll get right into it. We've got reports. And our first report, members of council, is from our CAO, and she will present her report on the mandatory vaccination policy.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and good afternoon, everyone. So this matter came up fairly with some urgency last week with the spike in COVID-19 numbers locally as a result of the fourth wave. There are a lot of broader public sector organizations and municipalities that are introducing mandatory vaccination policies under the authority of the Ontario Health and Safety Act. So we have borrowed virtually almost verbatim from the County of Essex, who has developed a policy in recent times as well. I think they adopted theirs at the staff level in late August. We felt that it was appropriate to bring it to council for determination because it is a policy that binds not only all staff, but all members of council and some of our external as well, the contractors and committee members and such. So the policy is attached to the report. It does set out the scope of it. As I mentioned, all corporation employees, contractors, students, volunteers, elected and appointed members of council and council appointed boards and committees, and other individuals employed or contracted or engaged to provide services to the town. So it's a fairly all-encompassing policy. There are a number of definitions in there to assist with some clarity, and then it's basically gets right into the steps that would be required to demonstrate that you're fully vaccinated. We've set out the timelines, once again adjusting them because of the modification in start time. This would be effective tomorrow if council gives favorable consideration to it this evening. And then we've stepped it out basically at reasonable intervals by which people, staff and others would have to declare their vaccination status and then or provide proof that they qualify for a medical exemption or a human rights code exemption, or that they elect not to be vaccinated. We are hopeful that we will achieve full or near full vaccination status, and certainly the intention of this policy is to bring everyone along so that we do achieve compliance, and it's not intended to be the hammer that it does have a hammer in it. There's no question that as a last resort may have to be employed, but we will take every measure possible to achieve compliance without resorting to that. The educational program, just to be clear, would not be something that the town would be making up, but we would be using available resources through the Ministry of Health or the Public Health Agency. We aren't qualified to provide an education program, but certainly they do have resources that can be accessed for that purpose, so that anyone who's still having concerns or qualms about vaccination is given appropriate opportunity and material to avail themselves of the facts. So the mechanics are set out in the policy. It also speaks to, our need to keep vaccination information confidential, which we are committed to doing so, and does suggest that at some point we might have to divulge some of this data in aggregate, and that would only be by request of a ministry or public health agency as required by law. We are doing this in the spirit of being foursquare with the Ontario public health and safety legislation, and doing our part to encourage vaccination, increase in vaccination in the county. The medical officer of health has quoted as saying that we're driving for 90%, and that is what it's going to take to get us out of this fourth wave and then not repeat these recurrent waves. So we're a little ways from that now. I'm sure the mayor can tell you the statistics to the moment, because in his role as the chair of the Board of Health, he's very familiar with those. So we bring this to you for your consideration this evening, and I'm happy to answer questions as you see fit. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Mark. Any questions or comments to the administration on the report? Yes, Councillor Dowd.
Thank you, Worship. Two questions to the administration. One, just hoping to understand the perspective of our labor association or union on this. And second, whether this precludes someone from seeking elected office if they're not vaccinated and unable to access town hall and sit in meetings.
Through the mayor, with respect to the first question, I have had a conversation with union leadership. They are seeking the advice of QP National, which is their right, and I understand that. But I do have their word that we have a good working relationship, and we will seek to work together for fair implementation of the policy. On the second point, that's a little ways down the road. I haven't really turned my mind to that eventuality, and I guess that if this policy remains in effect, that it would be a consideration that we would have to make known to people that would be seeking office, because it does apply to members of council.
Okay.
Thank you,
Worship.
They just, I guess, a follow-up through you. So so the intent of the policy is not to have a standing permanent policy, but rather just one to go through the fourth wave, or am I understanding that wrong?
Sorry, let me back up and try that one again then, through the mayor to council. No, I think this is intended to be a standing policy. I mean, it's got immediate effect because the intention is to try to get the vaccinations secured in the next couple of months in order to help us get through the fourth wave, but there is not an end date on it, and it does speak to boosters and the like. So it may have to be revised from time to time, depending on how the pandemic unfolds and what additional vaccination or booster resources are made available to the public.
And just final supplementary, Worship.
Go ahead.
Just for some clarity on to the second point. So in adopting this, the net effect is someone could not present themselves in the next election if they're unvaccinated. Is that a fair assessment?
Once again, through the mayor to council, I haven't really turned my mind to the election. They as a member of council, they would have to demonstrate vaccination because it applies to members of council. It does not specifically apply to candidates and that would be running in election. But I think once the individual was successful in the election outcome and was then a member of council, then the policy would apply to that person.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and maybe, yeah, go ahead, Councillor Houston.
Thank you, Your Worship. And through you, I do see and mention in the policy, it does apply to all boards within a municipality. And I believe the submission for the to complete the declaration is September 15th, is next Wednesday. So just wondering, that would apply to the BIA and the BIA coordinator. So just wondering the rollout, do we send an email, a call? I'm just wondering the rollout of this to the BIA.
Through the mayor to council. Once again, our primary thrust is going to be with the staff body, those people that are attending town facilities daily. And so the timetable that's set out in the policy is really aimed at staff. And with respect to members of council and appointed boards and committees, contractors, section 4.8 basically indicates that you're included, and that we'll try to approximate the same timelines, but there'll be a little bit different reporting structure and compliance because they're not coming into town hall. We're not even meeting as council in town hall at the present time. So it'll be a little less rigorous for them. And similarly, with respect to contractors, this will apply as the jobs come up. The ones that are currently contracted with the town would be the first ones that we would go to. We would then make it known that upcoming jobs that people would have to be vaccinated if they're going to be working in town workplaces. So the primary, the primary thrust of this is for when we are back to in-person meetings and anticipating that eventuality, or that our staff are coming in to contact with appointed boards and committees, that everybody be have declared their vaccination status by then, and we aren't putting anyone at risk. So we'll be reasonable in terms of attempting to get that sorted in the next coming months, but the primary focus will be on our staff.
Okay, further questions? I just want to give you maybe a little bit of highlights on the county, since we've implemented it at the county. In that we've had a bump up of 4% in complying. We're running now at just a hair's breadth under 99% of vaccination. And so there's been a bump up in dealing with it. There was certainly a lot of research in terms of the responsibility of the workplace. And if anybody knows anything about the Occupational Health Safety Act, will know that the employer has to provide a safe working environment for all of its employees. And so the premise on that is the signature, or the signatory, is from my screen is the lady that's sitting right in the middle, and ourselves as members of council. And so that is a big factor. The other, there's been many constitutional lawyers that have weighed in, and they said and it's very. There is no issue. The workplaces have the right to provide a safe haven and working environment, and for those who are using the charter, they won't be successful. And so we're going to try to accommodate as much as we can. With if you've got a medical issue, or / the constitutional piece with religious purposes. That's what the county has done. And in terms of filling in and bringing their reports back to county council, there's been very good compliance, and as I said, 99%. And so that's probably in the last week to 10 days. And so many of the other organizations are also getting the same type of response. So again, it's to protect our our workers, protect our folks that they're in contact, and that's why you're seeing more and more, from universities to colleges to schools to many public and private entities now following suit. And it's in full support, by the way, of the medical officer of health and certainly the Ontario medical officer of health. Councillor Jobin.
Thank you. Through Mr. Mayor, I appreciate your comments. As I was just going to briefly state, we don't have a constitution. We have a Canadian Charter of Rights, like you touched on, and maybe some measures of navigating through this pandemic seem to clash with the Charter of Rights, but public health and safety trumps a number of those statements in the Charter. And people have to understand that it's about public health and safety. So I appreciate the comments you made, because there's some conflict of wording out there in the public where what's the Constitution, which we don't have. We have the Charter of Rights, but thank you for those comments.
All right, thanks, Councillor Jobin. Any further questions or comments? Okay, none. Then I'm looking for a mover and a seconder that report number CAO 2021-13 policy 110. That town Tecumseh mandatory vaccination policy be received, and that the council approved policy 110. The town Tecumseh mandatory vaccination policy with immediate effect. Moved by Councillor Tonio, support by Councillor Altenhoff. No further questions or comments. All in favor? Opposed, if any, that's carried unanimous. Thank you, members of council. All right, we'll move on to a second report, and it's from our clerk's department, and it's report 2021-26 request for noise bylaw exemption, Beech Grove Golf and Country Club, and that's in regards to, I believe, September the 10th, 2021, to permit the music entertainment until 11:30. Councillor Altenhoff. Move the report. Councillor Houston support. Any questions or comments? Yes, Madam CEO.
Actually, Your Worship, with your permission, I'd like to just have the clerk kind of explain the full recommendation there. It does, you're quite correct, apply to Beech Grove, but there is a further consideration there that I just wanted to draw people's attention to, if I could. Please, Laura.
Yeah, I should have said bring the report forward. That's must be the sun in my eyes or something in the den. Yes, Madam Clerk, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. And yes, this is a report that has come before council in many years going back. So it is before council this evening, requesting an exemption to 11:30. Council may recall that at the July 27th meeting, authorization was extended to myself to grant exemptions to 11 p.m. Given that this extension is to 11:30, we felt the need to bring this back to council for council's approval. So along with the approval for a Beech Grove's extension to 11:30 on September 10th, we're respectfully asking whether council would also consider granting the authorization to approve noise bylaw exemptions to 11:30 p.m. And we would incorporate that onto the noise bylaw amendment that will be presented to council at the September 14th meeting.
Yeah, I did miss that little piece, didn't I? So I appreciate that, Madam Clerk, on that. So if council's okay with that, it's been duly moved and supported. If there's no further questions or comments, then all in favor? Was if any, and that's carried. Number 3, it's the Invest in Canada Infrastructure Program Green Stream Stage 2 2021 intake. We do believe we have Mr. Bartnick on deck, who is going to bring that report forward.
Thank you, Your Worship, and good afternoon, members of council. The report before you speaks to the ISIP Green Stream number 2 2021 intake, And the proposed project that the town is wanting to put forward is the water main replacement project on Centennial Drive and Woodridge Drive. So the current 2021 intake of the program has prioritized drinking water projects that address critical health and safety issues. Projects that are to be submitted will have a $5 million funding cap for total eligible costs, with allocations of 40% federal, 33.33% provincial, and 26.67% municipal. The submission deadline for the grant program is tomorrow, September 9th. So we have been very busy, not only preparing the report, but also preparing the application. If approved, ISIP projects must start work by September 30th of 2022 at the latest, and must be completed by October 31st, 2026. So in review of possible water main projects that meet the eligibility criteria and would maximize the grant amount available, administration is recommending the water main replacement on Centennial Drive and Woodridge, as depicted in attachment 1. Sean, I don't know if you can pull up attachment 1, please. So these water mains that we are proposing, they are made out of ductile iron material, and they have been subject to numerous breaks. Since 2010, there have been 19 water main breaks and 21 repairs on water services, valves, and hydrants in this area. So to help put this into perspective, the proposed project is approximately 0.8% of the town's entire water system, but has accounted for 9% of the total water main breaks over the last 11 years. So that was, excuse me, that was 19 breaks over 11 years out of 213 breaks townwide. So the financial implications, the total project costs are estimated at approximately $3.5 million. And with the federal and provincial funding applied, the town's cost share at the 26.67% would roughly be just above $933,000. So if successful, this project would be incorporated as part of the annual Public Works Environmental Services Capital Works Plan and funded through the Water Main Reserve Fund. And we do anticipate design to commence in 2022, probably over the 2023 time period, with construction starting in 2024. Thank you, and I'm available for any questions.
Just a quick one, Phil. You said that the ISIP grant, it's capped at total cost project at $5 million. Am I correct?
Yes, total eligible costs would be capped at $5 million. Yes.
So is there a possibility? I mean, if I don't know what the future holds in terms of new government or what grants are going to be. Does it make sense at this stage here to, or would it make sense to find another $1.5 million, to go to the cap?
To your worship, so I believe when we did start looking at some of these projects and which ones would be, I think, the most strategic to put forward, we were still trying to be mindful of the I guess the existing 5-year capital works plan and some of the other projects and priorities that we did have on our plate. So we were, I think, aiming for somewhere in the middle of the road, around $2.5 million or so, for kind of a smaller project that we could absorb as part of our other works and other work plan. What we have found, I think, as of late, is a significant increase in costs with respect to material. And I think COVID is having a big impact on that as well. So I think the project put forward was kind of, I think it was the best project, or best candidate that we had, has the most number of breaks, which could relate to increased risk of boil water advisories or contaminants getting into the system. It is that area of Centennial and Woodridge. It is the last, I guess, ductile iron water main in that area. Everything else surrounding it is PVC. So it is kind of a nice project to, complete and clean up and kind of move out of that area.
Yeah, I'm not questioning any of those. I totally agree and support that. The concerns I have, like the village used we had issues there with cast iron and because of the type of soil too, the chloride issue that was eaten actually from the outside in. Has that been remedied or because I don't recall seeing some say around the Saucer area and that where we used to at one time have a lot of breaks there as well. This is why I'm just asking if there's slip in another bit to get us to that number, and because I don't know, again, nobody knows what the future holds in terms of grants.
Yeah, it's definitely something we can look into. I think the timelines may be a little tight to see what else we can squeeze in. It may also require kind of a council motion here at this late stage, being that the application deadline is tomorrow. But
I don't want to delay. I don't, but I just curious. I don't want to listen. I don't want to negate and lose the application like for tomorrow and that. But I would just if there's if you could slip that in there, that would be kind of nice. But if you can't, then I understand. I understand. Councilor Dowie.
Thank you, Worship. And, I lived on Centennial Drive for 5 years. I can certainly attest to witnessing the repeated water main breaks on that stretch. So any opportunity to have a permanent solution for that, I think, is well warranted and will reduce the amount of reports back or staff emergency calls. And I know certainly the effort will be well appreciated by the residents of Centennial and Woodridge to address these persistent issues. And I certainly look forward to supporting this.
Yeah, I certainly don't have any issues. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying eliminate Centennial and Woodridge. I realize and I know I lived on Revland, which wasn't too far from there, and I know the pain of ripping up roads and in that particular area. I was just I guess my point is I hate to leave money on the table. That's the reason why. And if you can get 70 cent dollars to extend it, to the 5 million or 4,999,000, that's what I'm asking. But I know that time crunch is here, and I certainly don't want to do anything to disqualify us, from moving forward with what's there. I mean, the project there's merit. It needs to be done. It's in our future capital plan anyway, but to get 70 plus dollars or cent dollars, it's well worth the effort. So that was my only piece is I just hate leaving money on the table, and so that was my point. Okay, any further questions or comments? Then on the report, that administration be authorized to submit an application to the federal government for funding under the Invest Canada Infrastructure Program, better known as ICIP, Greenstream Stage 2 2021 intake for future commitment to the water main replacement project on the full length of Centennial Drive and a section of Woodridge Drive from Dillon Drive to St. Thomas Street and interconnections with Little River Boulevard and St. Thomas Street. And that administration be authorized to complete any business cases, applications, and or provide all information documentation as required to constitute the application under ICIP Greenstream Stage 2 2021 intake. And further, that the Chief Financial Officer be authorized to sign any required documents necessary to complete the application and the subsequent documentation to ICIP Greenstream Stage 2, 2021 intake. And furthermore, that the mayor and clerk be authorized to sign any documents and agreements if required for the application submissions and documentation to ISEP Greenstream Stage 2, 2021 intake in a form of satisfactory to the town solicitor, financial content satisfactory to the town's chief financial officer, and technical content by the town's engineer. On the motion, moved by Deputy Mayor McKetty, supported by Councillor Houston. On the motion, all in favor? Opposed, if any, that is carried unanimous. Okay, so that was the 3 items, and we need to deal with in public, but we do need now to have the motion to proceed in camera. And the meeting is part of a meeting may be disclosed to the public in accordance with section 239, 2B, C, D, H, and I of the Municipal Act 2001. The subject matter being considered is a personnel matter about an identifiable individual or individuals, including municipal and local board employees, and labor relations and employee negotiations, a proposed and pending acquisition or disposition of land by a municipality, information explicitly supplied in confidence to the municipality or local board by Canada, a province, territory, or a crown agency, or of any of them. And finally, a trade secret or scientific, technical, commercial, financial, labor relations information supplied in confidence to the municipality or local board, which if disclosed could reasonably be expected to prejudice significantly the competitive position or interfere significantly with the contractual or other negotiations of a person's group of persons or organization. So if we can have a motion to move in camera on those items. Councillor Dowie, Councillor Tonio, all in favor? Opposed, if any of that is carried. And so I believe, Madam Clerk, we sign off and come back on 8:10. Okay. got that little tough bird. Okay. Muted. All right, thank you very much. All right, I'm just going to take this opportunity just to report out that we did have an in-camera meeting. Our council convened in closed session shortly after calling this meeting in order at 4 p.m. in accordance to section 239, 2B, C, D, and H, and I of the Municipal Act 2001 to consider matters that was related to an organizational review and the acquisition of land by the municipality. So if there's no further business at this stage, then members of council, adjournment's in order. Moved by Councilor Tonio, supported by Councilor Altenhoff, that this meeting now comes to adjournment. All in favor? Opposed, if any, that is carried. Thank you once again, members of council and sort of administration. And until we meet again, bid you good evening and enjoy what's left of your Wednesday.
Thank you. Good
Good
night.
night.